What is going on, everybody? Welcome, Philadelphia Eagle Nation. It is finally, this is the last final preview we are doing on this upcoming matchup. And I had to bring on a excuse me. See, I'm so excited about the Eagles, but a Detroit content creator on to see what is going on with this newfound youth of the Detroit Lions. So welcome to the stream, my guy, Tyler. How you doing, man?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me on, JC.
Hey, no problem, man. Anytime I could, bring people on my show to steal some secrets and go tell Nick Sirianni about, hey, I'm open to it. So any little bit it helps, everything helps. But without further ado, let's get into this upcoming matchup. Like, it's here, man. I mean, it's been a long off season. Y'all was on Hard Knocks. How in the world that the Detroit Lions got picked to do Hard Knocks to begin with?
I think the hard knock selection is it's kind of hard to get on. It's like you can't have a rookie head coach, and you can't make the playoffs in the last 2 years unless you like volunteer yourself, like the Cowboys did last year. So there are like some rules to being on hard knocks, and I guess the Lions wanted to do it too, so it made the selection very easy. So I guess they chose the Lions this year.
Okay, I mean, because like I'm thinking the Dallas Cowboys was on Hard Knocks. Their expectation was out, through the
Yeah.
roof. That's why, if we want to see behind the lines, y'all was on Hard Knocks. I know y'all coach is a fiery type of guy. And I know y'all had a nice off season. I know y'all finished last season off a little bit strong. But what was your biggest takeaway from the Hard Knocks? Why are the Detroit Lions fans so excited for this upcoming season? What did they see?
I think they just got to see more of an inside look on what really goes inside. Like they got to know more about our players, especially our new players like Aiden Hutchinson and the rookie 6th round pick Malcolm Rodriguez. We got to see a more inside story on those guys. And then just Dan Campbell, like we knew he was always fired up. We know he's really good with the media, but to kind of see it with just more of the inside look of when he's talking to the guys and not just talking to the media, he's the same guy that we kind of see in the media that when he talks to his players. So I think that was really cool, really easy to latch onto. So I think that's why there was just a really big buzz with Lions fans and why Hard Knocks was successful here.
Man, I'm surprised that your coach does not get into fight with the players, man. I mean, he is so fiery, man. I know he means well. I mean, but he is like, man, I remember just watching him on the sideline. Maybe see the veins popping out his neck sometimes. I love to play for a coach like that. I would run through a wall for a coach like that. I mean, we kind of got a similar coach at the Philadelphia Eagles, man, Nick Sirianni. Even though the start was a little rocky with his little press conference and all that stuff, playing rock paper scissors with a lot of players, a lot of draftees and stuff like that. Some people took that and ran with it just for a story. But I was thinking that, hey, this dude is trying to make me relax. I don't care if he played rock paper scissors or ask me how am I doing and stuff like that. But I didn't think it was a big deal. But it's the city of Philadelphia, man. Like we wanted a coach, a rah-rah type of guy. But Nick Sirianni slowly over last year and especially throughout this offseason has won the city over. Now he gotta go out and get some more wins. But he remind me of a fiery type of coach. He cussing out refs. He's looking out for his players, which I love. You know what I mean? He remind me of a player coach first, then the actual head coach. He's trying to please everybody. Him and Jalen Hurts got his fancy handshake. Yeah, guitar in the ear. That's the type of coach we have. So I'm loving it. So this upcoming Sunday is going to be two matchup between two fiery coaches. In your mind, who has the upper hand coaching wise?
Um, I mean, coaching wise, I would say you guys have more to work with, at least as far as like players out there. But I mean, coaching wise, these guys are entering both year two, so
Yes.
they're not, and no one's far ahead of each other as far as experience or anything like that. I would say you guys have more experience in playing meaningful games because you guys were in a stretch last year. You guys ended up getting a playoff spot, where the Lions last year It took them a while just to get that first win off their back, and we just didn't play for much meaningful games down the stretch. We went out in a good way, won the last three
Yeah,
games of the season,
absolutely.
but we didn't play for anything. Where Philly, they got a taste of playing for meaningful games, playing for the playoffs, where this team and Dan Campbell just haven't had that taste yet. So I would say you guys have maybe more of a coaching advantage just a little bit right now.
Okay, all right. Hey, look, I like it. Hey, so let's get into the injuries. All right, so your offensive line, I know that Big V is out, but I read something today that now your center is dealing with something.
Yeah. So yeah, Frank Ragnow, which we didn't know if he's going to be the starting center or the starting right guard for Big V's injury, because we have another center, Evan Brown, who was in place of Frank Ragnow last year once Frank was out. So we didn't know how they were going to structure this offensive line after the Big V injury. So to have Ragnow not out there in practice on Thursday, that was definitely concerning, because it's like, okay, now we might be without two of our starting offensive linemen, and how are we going to really structure it now? Then after that, it's going to be interesting. It looks like Ragnow is a game time decision right now. He's optimistic he's going to play. He ended up practicing today, Friday, so that's a good sign that that he could maybe play this Sunday, and hopefully that is the case, because without Ragnow, without Big V, that's when it gets really concerning, because we have another guy who was supposed to step in Big V spot, Tommy Kramer. He was our backup interior guard. He's dealing with something right now, and he's ruled out for this game. So it's gonna be interesting how they decide to use this offensive line on Sunday and how they end up lining it up.
Wow, I mean, yeah, that is concerning. But he did practice today, and
He
today's
did.
Friday. Like usually, if a player practice on Friday, then most likely, they are going to play. But how much we don't know. How the injury is going to impact them. We don't know. We just have to see. So, how concerned are you? Or let's just say that you have, he's out. Big V is out. Is the Lions' offensive line still strong enough to deal with a ferocious front of the Philadelphia Eagles defensive front?
It'll be okay, because you still have guys like Penei Sewell, who you drafted last year, who's looking
I
for a big
forgot
step.
about him too. I
Yeah,
forgot about Peninsula.
yeah, and then you got Taylor Decker on the left side. He's still rock solid. And Jordan Jackson, who was a Pro Bowler last year, who's our starting left guard right now. So you still have guys out there. Would it hurt? Definitely would hurt, because you're missing your center and your right guard. But would it still be a strength? It's not as much of a strength as it was last week, if you asked me this question, but is it still a strength? I would say so. It'd be a lot more difficult match, like you mentioned, with the Eagles D line. You guys got some guys over there, Brandon Graham, Javon Hargrave. I love Jordan Davis. Can't wait to see what he could do in his career.
Yeah, me too.
Um, Hassan Reddick's now on that team, so you have a lot of different guys that are definitely some playmakers on the defensive line. So if Ragnow can't go, I mean, it's still one of our strengths, but not as much of a strength as it should be.
So would that hurt more in the running game then, or the passing game if he can't go?
I would say I would say the run game, because Ragnow is one of those molders, man. And with Big V out, and we were looking at potentially moving him to right guard, I mean, it would hurt. I mean, you'd probably then slot in a guy like Logan Stenberg, who just doesn't have much experience starting,
Mhm.
and he's dealt with injuries in his short career. But he's a guy in the preseason who showed some flashes. But is he a guy you want to necessarily count on week one versus a good defensive line in Philly? I don't know necessarily. So um, it would hurt both pass and run pro, but I would say especially the run game.
Okay, all right, all right. So, look, this offseason was a beautiful offseason for the Detroit Lions. Like they went out. I mean, they got DJ Chalk out there. Like man, that wide receiver from the Rams last year. I think
Josh Reynolds.
Josh Reynolds. So now Jamison Williams, he's not going to be able to play. I mean, how big of a blow that is for your wide receiver core? I know y'all still got Amon St. Brown over there, but I mean, was your counting on him to actually be your number one wide receiver of this upcoming game?
I mean, when we drafted Jamison Williams, we knew it was going to be a process of he probably was not going to be ready week one. I mean, because he tore
Okay.
his ACL in that national championship game last year. So I think we knew that once we drafted him. No need to rush him. You know, we're not in that spot in our rebuild where the expectation is to win a division or make the playoffs. Would that be nice? Absolutely. But we're not there expectation wise where they have to do that. So there's no need to rush a player like that who could be a really, really good wide receiver. And eventually, I think, like you said, could be that wide receiver one for this football team. But you know, I think fans kind of had that in play too. Once we drafted Jameson Williams, we knew he would probably not be ready week one, and you know he's not going to be ready for the first month and a half probably. You know he got placed on the pup list, so you know he's going to be
Okay.
out for a little bit. But with Jameson Williams, you're looking more at the future with this guy and how he's going to complement with Amon-Ra St. Brown and how you could have that potential 1-2 punch for. Is it going to be Jared Goff or whoever your quarterback of the future is? Whoever it is, it's going to be a great receiving core to work with when you have a 1-2 punch of Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. If Williams could reach that potential, we think he could.
Yeah, absolutely. Richard, have a question. How is DeAndre Swift health? Is he injured or
No, yeah.
anything?
No, yeah, no, that's a guy who was dealt with injuries in the past, dealt with injury
Mhm.
last year, but they really took care of his load really well this preseason and training camp. He's healthy. He's ready to go week one, and I expect a big load out of him out of this game.
Okay, so let's talk about this. This matchup, right? So you have the Eagles' defensive line facing the Lions' offensive line. I know you already hit it. Like, who got the upper hand, and why? I guess because of the injuries. So we probably just talked about it, but just how scary is it facing this Eagles defensive front?
If Frank Ragnow's out there and, you know, if Ragnow's out there and everyone else is like out there that we're expecting, it's gonna be a hell of a matchup. It's gonna be strength for strength, in my opinion, because that's our biggest strength. We've talked about all offseason is building that offensive line. They invested so much into that group in the last couple of
Mhm.
years. Um, man, I think it's gonna be like it would be a heavyweight fight like between those two lines, man. Like that's football right there. Is that Eagles D line versus that Lions O line? Not many weaknesses on either side of the ball, so it'd be tough to predict who's going to be a clear cut winner. It's something you kind of I think just got to watch on Sunday.
Okay, hey, shoot. Look, I don't want to go in with any excuse from the Lions fan why we cannot run the ball, why we couldn't throw the ball. If you telling me it's strength versus strength,
Strength
then
for strength.
Jared Goff should be back there all day with plenty of time, right? Because last year he got sacked, I believe, 6 times last year when they played the Eagles. So do you anticipate that happening again?
No, I don't. I mean, that Eagles game last year was the lowest point of that 2021 season. Like, we were a 3-win team. It's to say something that when you guys were the lowest point of our season last year, we've never had a game that bad. They were just not competitive, man. And especially on the defensive side of the ball, you guys just did some, or our defense side of the ball, your offense just did something that you guys were doing something that they didn't do all year. You guys weren't running the ball all year until you guys played Detroit. You guys
Yes.
come into Detroit. I'm asking the question all week. Why doesn't Philly run the ball? They have a great offensive line, arguably the best offensive line in football. Could have a legitimate run attack, but they just don't do it. And what do you guys do when you guys come to Detroit? You guys get the run game going, run down right down our throats. We're confused. It messes up everything, and it was just a terrible game. Terrible, terrible game. I remember it was on Halloween day, man. That was awful.
Absolutely. I remember that day because, look, all right, in all fairness, the Philadelphia Eagles was playing desperate. I
Yeah.
mean, they just got their butt kicked the week before against the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, we had to win this game. Like, there was a fear the way the Eagles was looking at the time at 2-5 that hey, they could possibly lose against the Detroit Lions. Like, what I mean? That was a must-win game for the Philadelphia Eagles. And like you said, they went into that game. We wanted them to run the ball. We didn't even know that we was going to run the ball. You know what I mean? So that's how confused it was to see this team run the ball over and over and over until y'all just kind of like I think that we caught y'all by surprise. And I was telling everybody that. I think we caught them by surprise, especially when Deuce Staley being there. He wants to be the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm pretty sure that stopping the run was not the main concern for y'all. But going to this game this Sunday, y'all know the Eagles are going to try to establish to run. How do you see this matchup with your linebackers and trying to stop the run on Sunday?
Yeah, I know Aaron Glenn, our defensive coordinator. He's not letting happen what happened last year. Like he's just not gonna let that happen, man. He even mentioned on Hard Knocks, he's like,
You still got a job?
yeah, he's
Saying.
yeah, he even mentioned on Hard Knocks is like, man, we're not having that happen again, and like that's gonna be the number one focus in this game is to stop that run game. I really do think that's gonna be the number one focus because once they get that run game stop and they force Jalen Hurts to be a passer, it's not saying the game's in the bag for the Lions because Jalen Hurts, I think, has a lot of talent and
Mhm.
he's going to have a test with the new receiving core with A.J. Brown in there now. But I think that is your best chance to win on the defensive side of the ball is if you could get the run game, limited and force Jalen Hurts to be a passer. And if Jalen Hurts could beat you with his arm, then it is what it is. But you cannot have what happened last year where, you know, the Eagles' run game is just popping 6-7 yards per run. You just cannot have that in this game. Once that happens, time of possession goes completely to Philly. And then once the run game going, the passing game just opens up too because you're so focused on the run game. So number
Yeah.
one focus is limit the run game as much as you can. You're not going to stop it, but as much as you can prevent it, that should be the number one focus for the team going into this game.
And that's what I was about to say. I mean, if y'all trying to sell out to stop the run game, then and we got a big tight end like y'all do.
Yep.
We got Dallas Goddard up the middle, wide open. So we got a slot wide receiver, maybe Quez Watkins, maybe the Devontae Smith. I mean, like we got some toys to play with. Quick screen to AJ Brown to limit the pass rush if y'all trying to sell out to the run. So I mean, it's going to be it's funny that you said that your defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
But he said that, hey, we're not going to run it as much no more, and I kind of agree. Like because if we got ran through like that last year and was on Hard Knocks and saying it like that, I really think that they're going to focus on stopping the run. But I see this game as a Dallas Goddard quick screen to AJ Brown type of game. Nothing too deep because I feel like who's your DBs? Like, how comfortable are you with your DBs?
That's our biggest concern on this team right now. I'd say is our defensive backs. If it's not the linebackers, I mean it's just really young. Jeff Okudah, former number 3 pick. He is back in the starting job. He hasn't played a game since last year, week 1, where he ruptured his Achilles. Had a solid camp, got better as camp got on. Had a pretty solid preseason game in the last one. So he's going to be the starter alongside Amani Oruwariye, who had a really good year for this team last year. And then in the nickel, we have Mike Hughes, former first-round pick. He's played for the Vikings and the Chiefs. He's a guy that probably our biggest weakness in the cornerback room. I think that's definitely something that Philly's looking at in our defense, and that's something that we got to pick on or at least try it out because Okudah's coming back from an injury. Is he legit? Mike Hughes, a guy who was up and down all preseason. We're going to try that out. We're going to test that out. And then Amani, a guy who had a really good year last year playing on a contract year. How good is he? Is he the same guy that we saw in 2021? They're going to test that out. It's not as stable as your guys is on the other side of the ball. You got a guy that we know very well, big play Slay.
Big play Slay. He took what? Matter of fact, what was it? It wasn't a pick though. I think somebody tossed it to him. Huh?
Was it the fumble 6 versus Detroit last year?
Yeah. And that must have been a great feeling for him going back home.
Yeah.
And running that fumble back for a touchdown, man. I mean, that was a great moment. But I do agree with you. Our defensive side, as far as our DBs wise, we went out this offseason and addressed that issue with James Bradbury. That's a signing that is, that's being overlooked by a lot of people because he was bad last year, with the Giants. But sometimes, we all know if you play on a bad team, you know what I mean? Like things happen. Like your games start being diminished for some odd reason because you don't have the same quality player around and you on the field so much. Like it's not that you're bad, but you just get tired after a while if you can't go out the field, and now teams just start taking advantage. But yeah, big play slate. But the secret sauce on our defense, I think, is Avonte Maddox.
He's
Like
good, man.
he's our nickel corner, underrated. But I think he's going to have a big test on his hands because I really see either him or one of our linebackers on your big tight end. Talk to me about your big tight end over there.
Yeah, TJ, he's another
Mm-hmm.
guy that we're probably going to give a contract extension to very soon. Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's just trying to improve his game all around. We know him as a good, a guy that could catch the ball, but one thing that TJ's trying to improve right now is his blocking and getting the yak yards. That's something he just needs to improve on. And he's had he didn't play in any of the preseason games outside the last one, so we didn't really see much out of TJ in the preseason, but everything we've heard in camp, the coaching staff is very optimistic about TJ and taking that next step this year. And they look at him as a guy that they could build around this team. And, they look at him as a true tight end one for sure. So he's going to have a big role for sure on Sunday.
Yeah, look, I like TJ. And matter of fact, that was my only fear last year as far as pass catcher wise
Sure, yeah.
that I was worried about because I think all y'all wide receivers was either hurt or whatever was going on, but he was the only healthy one. I had him in fantasy football, so I know the type of player he is. Tough, physical guy. He doesn't go down very easy. Not afraid to take the hits or issue out hits. I mean, hey, he's a tough kid, man. So I really think that Avonte Maddox, he is a good slot corner. And I think that they're going to give him help over the top, man. Honest truth. You're not going to play TJ 101, especially not with Maddox. So I think maybe a linebacker underneath and Maddox over the top. So I don't know the whole game plan that Jonathan Gannon is going to run. And that's my biggest fear in this game. Because yes, we do have a lot of pieces on defense, right? But we don't know the scheme that Jonathan Gannon is going to run. Is he going to just sit back like he was doing last year and let teams march down the field, a bend don't break type of defense? Or because now he got better players, is he going to be more aggressive? We cannot let Detroit running game start. We cannot. You know what I mean? Like, we cannot let y'all go from side to side because I think y'all more of a lateral team than a freaking like run straight down the middle because y'all got speed a lot in the defense on that running back position.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a team that's how they want to get their offense going. They want to establish the run game and then get everything else going. I mean, you really don't want Jared Goff throwing the ball more than 30 times in a game. That's just not a good recipe to winning. So, you definitely want to get the run game going with Swift and Jamal Williams. You got Craig Reynolds. So you got a solid running back core, especially like Swift, like you mentioned, kind of a do-it-all back. Could run on the outside. Could get him involved in the passing game. He is a guy that can run up the middle as well if they needed him to. They run it all, any type of scheme with DeAndre Swift. It's a very versatile back, and they can use him in a lot of different ways. So they're going to definitely try to get him involved in this game. And yeah, just try to ease it off Jared Goff. Don't make him the hero. You don't want that Eagles pass rush get into the quarterback. So, just as much as you could ease it on him and get Swift involved, I think that's something they're going to do on Sunday.
So do you think that the Lions will run a lot of wide receiver screens to kind of let the I guess get rid of the ball faster, just not let Jared Goff just sit back there and get
I don't
hit?
think necessarily it should just be screens, maybe some rub routes, get on some directs. I think they're going to really open up the playbook and try to get everyone involved. They got some new receivers like DJ Shark. I know they want to get him involved, but they got some matchups that are going to be tough too because you guys got a pretty stable outside corners with Bradbury and Slay, so it's going to be hard to get Shark and Reynolds involved. But in the slot, I know you mentioned Maddox having a really good year, and he's going to be playing the nickel this year for you guys. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's going to be lined up in our slot for us, and we're looking for a big year out of him. He's our true number one receiver right now, I would say. So I would look to get those guys, Amon-Ra and TJ, really involved, get them involved in the slot.
Okay, besides St. Brown, what other receivers that we don't really know about that you got to watch out for? Hey, y'all don't sleep on this guy. besides St. Brown, because he's the main guy. He's the number one. Of course, we're going to try to take him away.
Yeah.
Maybe try to move Slay into the slot. Try to play him. Wait, Amon St. Brown, like he solely play the slot, or does he play on the outside also?
He does everything, dude. You'll see him line up in the backfield a couple times probably in this game. He's kind of like that Debo Samuel a little bit. Like he lines up anywhere on the field, man. If you need him to run corner, he'll probably do it. Obviously not, but he's just a guy that does it all. So he's mainly in the slot. But if they need him outside, they'll put him outside. If they need him in the backfield, they'll put him in the backfield. They'll even give him a couple handoffs if they really have to. They're not scared to use him in a multiple different ways.
All right, now talk to me about your which I believe is the strength of the Detroit Lions, this defensive line. Like, what should we expect on Sunday? Detroit Lions defensive line versus the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. What should we expect?
Yeah, Campbell's been saying that he wants to unleash Hutch. That's his thing. That's his thing. He's ready to unleash Hutch, the number 2 pick from the last draft from Michigan. So, he's been a guy that's just been so good in this preseason and so good in this camp. So I definitely can't wait to watch him this Sunday to see what he could do. But we have some injuries on the defensive line as well that are not going to be in this game. They're on the PUP list. Romeo Quara, who we have, expected a big role out of him. He's still recovering from the Achilles injury last year. Second round pick Josh Pascal from Kentucky, another guy who won't play in this game either. He's on the PUP list. So a couple injuries on the defensive line. But ready to see Aiden Hutchinson, Charles Hurst on the other side, who had a really good year for this team, got that contract extension in the offseason. So our edge rushers look pretty steady right now. Something I would expect is if we get into a 3rd and long package, expect this look from the Lions. No defensive tackles, 4 defensive ends on the field. You'll see Aiden Hutchinson probably line up in the 3 tech, and they're just going to rush the quarterback. If they think it's an obvious passing situation, they got that certain package. We've seen in the preseason. We've seen it in camp. They'll move Hutchinson around. You'll see him on both sides of the edge. You'll see him inside a little bit too on 3rd and long for sure.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that because he is going up against, one of the best left tackles in the league, and Jordan Mariota. Yeah. So should we expect him? Because I think if I'm the coach, I'm going to try to move him around. But I mean, you just said if it's an obvious passing down, but if it's not though, do you see him being moved around sometimes? Playing at the nose or, at the other side, besides just going up against Mariota?
I wouldn't expect it if it's like a 1st and 10 or 2nd and 10 or something like that. I wouldn't expect it. I would only expect him to be moved inside if it's like 3rd and long or like those obvious passing situations where like they just want to get all their speed guys out there. But I think as far as, the unpredictable ones where you guys could run, you guys could pass, we have no idea, you'll probably just see Hutch lined up on the edge.
Okay, so it's basically Hutch or bust. No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's going to be a big factor into how our defensive line looks. Obviously, you don't want to put too much expectation on the guy. It's going to be his first game, but they drafted him number 2 overall. There's big expectation. You hope that he could be that guy eventually, like those elite edge rushers, like a Nick Bosa, like a Myles Garrett, Joey Bosa, whoever. The list goes on. The hope is that he'll reach that ceiling one day. It doesn't obviously have to be all game one. It's a very tough assignment with Philly's offensive line, who I think is arguably the best offensive line in all of football. Mm-hmm. So, we'll definitely see. It's going to be a big test for him. But he's a guy who's had a really good camp. So can't wait to see him. And as Campbell would say, unleash Hutch. Can't wait to watch that.
Unleash Hutch. Okay, so Mr. 86, here's a sneaky man to watch, Malcolm Rodriguez. Who's Malcolm Rodriguez? Because I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah, he was a 6th round pick this year from Oklahoma State. He was a big hard knock star, and he's a guy this year who's really in camp. Just I don't think he had any expectations to be a starter, but now we're looking at it going into week 1. Our defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn is talking about how he's going to have a big role in defense, and we've seen in this preseason, he started a couple games already. So, we have Alex Anzalone, who we know who's a penciled starter, but who's going to be starting alongside with him? We got a guy, Derek Barnes, who was with us last year, 4th round pick, and now we got a guy like Malcolm Rodriguez, who's in that mix. You'll probably see, a hefty load of both those guys in this game.
Okay. All right. Jeez. I can't wait to see that NASCAR package that you're talking about with no defensive tackles,
Yeah, and I'll tell you
all
right now.
speed.
I'll tell you now what it's going to look like. You're going to have Charles Harris and probably say Julian Aquara on the edges, and you'll probably have John Kaminsky and Aiden Hutchinson inside. You'll probably definitely see that package at least once or twice in that game.
Wow, interesting, interesting. Hey, look, I think that the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line is arguably one of the best, if not the best, offensive line in football. You know, from left to right, you got Amadiata, obviously an upcoming star at the left tackle. I mean, like the Eagles have been blessed to go from Jason Peters to Jordan Amadiata, 7th-round pick. You know, I mean, like a few years ago, and then you got Dickerson, Alabama. This dude was a center. He won the best. He won the trophy for the best center in college. We brought him to Philadelphia Eagles, and now he is our left guard. Man, on that side alone, you got about 700 pounds, if not more, on that left side alone, protecting Jalen Hurts' blind side. So I definitely think that. And then you got Jason Kelce. You know, Jason Kelce, the ageless one. I mean, so if y'all being aggressive, I really feel like that we're gonna pull Jason Kelce, these linemen, and run like, you know, whichever way y'all are coming from, because that's what the Philadelphia Eagles like to do. They love to pull their linemen and have the running back run behind them. So it's gonna be an interesting matchup. And then you got Isaac. Go ahead.
How the hell is Jason Kelce playing? Didn't he just have surgery like a month ago?
No, he had a cleanup.
A cleanup. What is that? What is
Yeah,
that?
it was a cleanup on his elbow. You know what I mean? Like he said the past couple of years he been he felt uncomfortable. So and then he just went, you know, in the off season had a cleanup done, and now he said this is the best he felt in a couple years. So me personally, I think because the season is so long. And I even said it on my own show, look, because I think the season is so long that we might be able to play this game without him, because his backup, Cam Jurgens, he's been practicing all off season, you know, handpicked by Jason Kelce. Like he's like a mini Jason Kelce. If you watch him in the preseason against the Browns, oh my God, you'd be like, damn, this is Jason Kelce 2.0. So I think that we'll be okay. But Jason Kelce also have a starting streak on the line. Man, I think it's like 130 something straight game of starting, so he never missed a start. So that's on the line also. But if he's ready to go, then he's ready to go. I don't think that he'll put the team at risk or his, you know, because this is his last year, by the way.
Yeah.
Like he already said it, this is his last year. So so I won't think that he'll put his health in jeopardy if he wasn't ready to go. But I'm glad that he's back. This dude is the most underrated center in the whole NFL. Like he's he's one of the smallest too, by the way. But man, this dude is one of the most underrated center that I've ever watched play the game. So he's definitely going to be out there. And then right guard, he's coming back, Isaac. You know, he's coming back from a season-ending injury last year, so he's healthy again. And then you got Lane Johnson, the tank, you know, protecting at that right tackle position. So it's going to be interesting because this offensive line is experienced. Like we had no rookies on the offensive line. They played with each other the past couple of years. So if anybody could counter your NASCAR package, you know, unleash Hutch, is definitely our offensive line because – like I said, they love to pull these big guys. They love to make them lead blockers for Jalen Hurts, for Miles Sanders. So, like, I can't wait to see that matchup. So, very interested to see that matchup. But so I know y'all fans, y'all sold out the stadium, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is it Lions fans or Eagles fans? Like, I know Philadelphia Eagles fans travel very well. I mean, like this is the first time in what? Like how long have you ever since 2017 y'all sold out the stadium all because of Hard Knocks and your opponent that y'all played? I know that y'all gonna get up for this game, especially when the Philadelphia Eagles are favored to be one of the teams that go deep into the playoffs. Some say Super Bowl. I mean, I just want to see one game. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Super Bowl. I just want to see one game. So I know y'all gonna get up for this game, especially last year. We was one of the but one or two teams that blew y'all out last year. Every other game y'all was in, it was close. So, with that being said, like, do you think that your fans could hang in there, long enough, especially if this game start getting out of hand, probably up by 14? Do you think your fans could hang in there, or they're gonna start I see a blue jersey just leaving the stadium? Is this a different year for the Detroit Lion fans?
If it gets to that point, I mean, that's just something we don't expect in going into this game. Is it's going down 14? We might not necessarily win this game, but we expect it to be competitive at the very least throughout the whole game. There's a legitimate buzz. I think Hard Knocks helped definitely with the buzz of getting the fans in there. And like you mentioned, Philly fans travel well, so that definitely probably helped. But I mean, we play a lot of teams that have good fans, and we still haven't sold out the stadium. Like we played the Packers every year. We played you guys last year. We play Chicago, Minnesota. They all have really good fans, and it's not too far of a drive. And we still haven't sold out the stadium in forever. But this game, I think there is some buzz, man. Like the expectation for the Lions isn't super high. I think a lot of fans are where I am. It's like we kind of expect just an average year, win 7 games, maybe win 8 games, something around that window. But maybe not necessarily make the playoffs. If it happens, it happens. But if not, it's okay. Um, but yeah, no, we expect our team to be competitive in most of these games, and that starts week 1 versus the Eagles. I mean, you guys on paper are better than us. I don't think that's much of an argument. And
Yeah.
you guys are ahead of us where as a team than us. But as far as week 1, what do Lions fans expect? I think it would be disappointing if we lost this game by 2 scores, and it's not a competitive game
Wow.
going into the fourth quarter.
Wow. Wow. Man, okay. Look, I like it because I would definitely get your score prediction and some reasons why you, hey, the Lions could win this game if these things happen. But Richard was like, who's the line slot wide receiver? Right.
It's
Amon St. Brown, right?
St. Brown, right? Yeah.
Okay. So Mr. 86, the energy will be better than last year. I mean, yeah. Look, I'm telling you this right now. After week 1, I'll be cheering on for the Lions. Like, I'm a big underdog type of fan. You know what I mean? Of course, Philly underdogs. But I don't want to see no team, no franchise, like the fans, like give them something to turn the TV on every Sunday, like to go to the games. Like, man, I don't want to see, man. Unless you're the Dallas Cowboys, I don't care about your stinking fans. But any other team fan base, all right. So I don't want to see them go 0-16 that year. Oh my God. I was like, please get one win. I was like, do not make history. Y'all made history. I was like, God, man, that must be disappointing to be a fan. But look, we all been there somewhere in there, but 7-8 wins for the Lions. Okay, so what record would you give the Lions this upcoming season? I know you probably give your record prediction at the end of the season. What is the line record?
I'm going to stick with that number 7. I like that number a lot this year. It's like a team I expect to be competitive, a team that I think is going to win some games. They might not win every game, but I expect them to be competitive in fairly most of these games. Maybe there's going to be a stinker, like 1 or 2 of those, and that's happens to every team in the NFL, right? So it's not a big deal if it happens, but I think 7's a good number for year 2. I think the tough part is once you get to that goal, going to year 3 of Campbell, when we get into that conversation, it's like, how do you get over that hump? Because that's the tough part. Going from being bad to average is not that difficult, but going from average to a good team, that's the difficult part. And I think that's where the Eagles are right now. You guys were a good team last year, a solid team. Well, you guys are trying to be a team that's trying to win a division. You're trying to be a team that's a legitimate playoff team this year. And that's the tough part, taking that next step. Right now, the Lions are, a step behind you guys. So the expectation is not that high. So 7's my win, my number right now.
All right, Mr. 86 had probably 11-6. He meant to say because it's 17 games.
Yeah.
So I mean, hey, look, 11-6. If the Lions go 11-6, man, hey, I'll buy you whatever drink you having. 3 of them. You know what I mean?
I'll buy 86 any drink you want if we win 11
But look, y'all, we're in a lot of close games though last year. So I think people is seeing last year, what y'all finished 4 and
3, 13-1.
So 3-13-1. But it took a 66-yard field goal to beat y'all, the Ravens to beat y'all, right?
Mhm.
It took y'all were in it with the Rams like mainly the whole night. I mean, look, y'all could easily had 6, 7 wins last year. That's how close these games were. So
Yeah.
I think that maybe 8 or 9 wins this upcoming, especially the NFC as a whole, the conference as a whole, is a little bit it's a little bit weaker this year. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like compared to last year, man, you already knew this is your 4 teams, book them in, they're gonna make the playoff. Those are division winners. Now it's like this offseason with all the trades, with all the wide receivers changing conference, the quarterback changing conferences, that the NFC is open to anybody. So we'll just have to see if Mr. 86 is right. All right, so we're about to wrap it up a little bit. So 3 reasons why Lion can win this game. If Lion win this game on Sunday, what went right? What had to go right for this thing?
I'll
For
give
this
you one or
game
two
to
really quickly. We got our run game going, and we stopped your run game. That's the two things.
win.
um, Offensively, man, you get that run game going. That's when you get that best version of that Lions offense. That's what you get. What you saw towards the end of the year when they were winning games, and Jared Goff was, as far as an efficient quarterback, I think was top three, top four, I believe, in the last 4 games of the year. Had a rocky year all year, but the last 4 games, once Dan Campbell took over the play calling and Ben Johnson had more of a say in it, it really got better because we had the year last year starting off with Anthony Lynn, and that offense just really never got going. So they kind of parted ways with him midway through the season last year, and he's now not with us at all in this year. So another year with that Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell offense, I think is going to be a better thing for Goff and the offense in general. So I'd say, if we can get that run game going and then we could start getting our passing game going, I think that's something that, could be a key to winning this game. And then on the defense side of the ball, man, if we could stop the run and let Jalen Hurts be a passer, I think that's our best chance to win. Now, our DBs are a question right now, and you guys' receivers are really good. You got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, Dallas Goedert. You guys got a lot of weapons on that offense. So it's going to be tough, even if we do stop the run game. But I do think that's our best shot because once Philly gets that run game going, I mentioned it earlier, there's just no shot you win this game because the time possession is going to go all towards Philly. Then everything
Yeah.
opens up with the Philadelphia Eagles playbook on offense. So it gets really difficult. So that's got to be priority one is getting that run game stop, make Jalen Hurts a passer, and just see what you could do from there. If he beats you, he beats you. I mean, that's just, he had a good game. You have good matchups on the offense side of the ball, even if you do stop the run game. So there's not much great scenarios here on paper for what we could do on defense because, like I said, if we stop the run game, okay, it doesn't get much easier. You got to stop Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. So it's kind of pick your poison, but I think the number one emphasis should be stop the run game. And if Jalen beats you, he beats you.
Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I think that if Philly loses, these are the reasons why. One, we let Jared Goff complete over 70-80% of his throws. Yes, that might sound crazy, but the Eagles let that happen numerous times last year to quarterbacks. I mean, career highs and completions. Yes, we didn't have the same players. Yes, the scheme was different. So so if we let Jared Goff look like, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning out there, just sitting back there and dick and dunk all the way down the field, then our defense will get tired. Then, of course, hey, that's advantage the Lions. Special teams. If y'all could, get a punt return, maybe for a touchdown, or y'all give your offense good field positions, and now our defense is on the heels again. So special team, Jared Goff complete over 75% of his throws, and I believe turnovers. If we don't win the turnover battle, if we fumbling the ball away, throwing interceptions away, yeah, we're gonna lose this game. Yes, I know the key is to let Jalen Hurts beat you with his arm. I like that theme. Right before I jumped on here, I was in the NFC East roundtable, and I was like, remember Lamar Jackson, his second full year starting? Everybody was like, let Lamar Jackson beat us with his arm. He went out and won the MVP. I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is going to win the MVP, but I definitely think this offseason, a full year, this is actually first time having the same offensive coordinator since high school, like literally.
Oh wow.
Like so he's always had a different playbook to learn, this and that, but this is his first time. He knows the playbook. He's working with the GOAT in the off season, Tom Brady, just working on his throwing mechanism. So he's going to be a lot different than last year. So you said just that Hurts beat us. That's cool. He's been working on that, and he anticipates that's what teams are going to do. But
For sure.
Yeah. All right. So to wrap it up, this is it right here. Eagles versus Lions. Who wins, and what is your score?
This is tough. I'm going to take the Eagles in this game. I would love to take the Lions, but I'm going to take Philly. Like I said, I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be a really good football game. I really do believe that. I said earlier in another show, I said 27-23. I'll stick with that.
27-23. Oh, wow.
Which contradicts my bet because one of my co-hosts here, he told me to take the under in this game. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Why not, right? But
what's the under?
It's 48.5. So it contradicts my money where I'm putting my money at. But I don't know. I hope it the under hits. So I at least can win some money, right?
Yeah. All right. So look, I think that the Philadelphia Eagles will win this game. I do see that the first half, because the Eagles, as long as I remember, has always been a good second half team. They go in the locker room, make good adjustments. They come out a different team in the second half. But I think that at halftime, this game will be about 17-10, 17-13. And then in the second half, we establish our run game. Your linebackers are getting tired. Your defensive line, and your worst nightmare is coming true. They can't stop the run game in the second half.
Hopefully not.
Jalen Hurts is rushing for over 50, 60 yards. I see that happening because, yes, unleash Hutch, but guess what? Hurts is going to run away from Hutch. You know what I mean? So unleash him. His blind side is not protected. He runs away. I see this game being 37-14.
Oh, high scoring game.
Mm-hmm.
High scoring.
Yeah, I do. Because look, the Lions are going to come out with their hair on fire. Lions 27, Philly 16. Man, hey, look, there you go.
If we hold Philly to 16 points on Sunday, that'll be something.
But also, y'all get set up for the future because this might be one of your hardest games, especially to start the season.
Yeah.
But because it's the first game of the season, we don't know who the Lions are. We can't go off of last year. Yeah. Y'all don't know who Philly is. Like, I can't go off of last year. Like we don't play each other twice a year, every year. So anything could happen. But yeah, I definitely see the first half is going to be a tight one. You know what I mean? And then the run game is going to start kicking in. And fatigue is going to be the biggest thing. That's the reason why I say 37, because I think once you start imposing your will, running downhill, pulling your offensive linemen and having them lead the way, I mean, there's only so much as a defense you could do if you can't stop the run. You know what I mean? So that's why I said 37-14. But it might be 37-17, though. But either way, it's going to be a high-scoring game, unpredictable game. So,
yeah, definitely.
But man, huh?
They're definitely looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man. Hey, thank you very much for coming on here, man. So before we go, let them know, what you're working on. Where could you find you at? And how often do you go live?
So we do a podcast in the regular season. We have 3 episodes drop a week. So we do a pregame show where we break down our opponents every week. We do a post after game thought right on Monday night. And then on Twitter Spaces, we do 2 shows on Sunday. So 4 shows actually will be live on your feed. We do 2 shows. One, an hour before the game, we go live for like a half hour, talk about the inactives, know all the questions that we didn't know before. So we answer those on Sunday before. And then Sunday, you kind of just get our initial reaction to those games. Those are usually the most like angry, exciting, but I think Monday is the perfect like even because like you had 24 hours to kind of sleep on it. You know more about the game. Once initially right after, man, it's all emotions, it's all adrenaline at that point, good or bad. So Yeah, so you definitely see two sides of us right after the game, and then you see the Monday night reaction. So wherever you guys get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever. I mean, it's on every podcast platform. It's called the Pride Podcast. We've been doing this now for it's gonna be our 5th season, so it's gonna hopefully be in a good one because our highest win total since we've started has been 6. So hopefully we could exceed that this year.
Okay, good, good, good. And the link is in the chat. So just go click the link and go check out all their podcasts that they got going on. Thank you very much for everybody that tuned in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I will be doing the Eagles play-by-play on Sunday. Win, lose, or draw, I'll be right here doing the Eagles game. So please feel free to stop in and troll me if you want. I really don't care. I don't have thick skin like that. Well, I have thick skin, but hey, I usually just joke around with people, watch the game, and it's fun time. So make sure y'all stop by Sunday, 1 p.m. I'll be going live on this channel. So make sure y'all hit that like button for your boy, man. And as always, go Birds.